and welcome to all of our viewers here in Neepawa, Manitoba, and right across Canada. This is NACTV Reads the News. My name is Jackie Snyder, and today I am reading the Neepawa Press of Wednesday, January the 18th. So looks like they were having a lot of fun on the front page here. We'll go to the pictures, and I will read the story. First of all, I'll read the caption. These are submitted photos. Oh, I guess we're not going to the photos. Oh, there we go. Okay. During the 6 weeks Rhyme Time program, Country Meadows residents and preschoolers did a variety of activities. So let's read about it. In the fall, Country Meadows Personal Care Home and the Beautiful Plains School Division partnered to offer the intergenerational program Rhyme Time for the second year. The program was offered for 6 weeks and instructed by Sheila Bremner, BPSD's preschool facilitator. There were 18 preschoolers along with their parents who participated with 10 grandparents of Country Meadows. With grandparents, the preschoolers learn rhymes, songs, and play a game. They end the session doing a craft together and having a morning snack. The program has been a great success for the preschoolers and the residents. The residents love having the little ones come and visit them weekly. Based on the program's success, it will be offered again this spring, starting on February the 9th. The program will be offered for a 6-week session on Thursdays from 10 to 11. So I'm sure the preschoolers and the residents have a great time. Lots of laughs, I'm sure. Okay, Rick Sparling has made it to the front page this week. Local author and sports historian Rick Sparling attempts to locate and catch up with the teams featured in Amateur Hockey in Neepawa, a scrapbook. Where are they now? Cheerleaders, 1959 to 60. Janice Barker Stock moved to British Columbia in 1969 after working at various secretary jobs in Manitoba post-high school. She worked for 23 years for the school district in Vernon. Janice is single and has 3 daughters and 5 grandchildren. She enjoys walking, reading, and watching the grandkids playing their various sports. She also enjoys feeding the grandkids her baking. Janice still lives in Vernon, BC. Donna Ward left Neepawa for Winnipeg, then to Montreal, where she met and married Ray Baroni in 1972. They had 3 boys and have 2 granddaughters, with another one on the way. They have owned restaurants in Abbotsford, Aldergrove, and still do in North Vancouver, which their middle son runs. Ray runs a catering business out of the North Van location, and Donna does the books, banking, and payroll. Donna considers herself to be semi-retired, but when you own a business, she says that you are there every day. Besides keeping busy in semi-retirement, Donna belongs to a craft group and spends time with her grandchildren and spends her summers in Neepawa, Clear Lake, Winnipeg, and the Shuswap. And Maxine Harisco went for a combined lab and x-ray training at MIT, which is now Red River College, after graduating from NACI. Upon graduating from that program, she worked at the Crystal City and Pilot Mound hospitals for a year, at which time she married Ron Kalbeck in 1967, and they were posted to Comox, BC, Ron's military posting. There she worked at the Comox and Cumberland hospitals until their transfer to Winnipeg in 1972. By this time, Maxine had 2 children, Rick in 68 and Sean in 72. In 1973, they were posted to Ottawa. They lived on the Quebec side of the river and commuted daily, and moved to Canada, Ontario, until 1981, when Ron left the military and they moved to Calgary. She was employed by Canadian Blood Services as a lab tech. Ron passed away in 1996. Maxine remarried in 2003 to Kevin Monahan. Maxine retired in 2005 and Kevin passed in 2011. She spends her winters in Phoenix, Arizona, and enjoys playing bridge, golfing, reading, and traveling. Maxine also has 4 grandkids. Now this continues on to page 5, so that's what I'm bringing up here now. No, that's page 4. There we go. And there's pictures along with this story too. Brenda Dayton left NACI in grade 9 as the freshie. Brenda Dayton left NACI in grade 9 as the freshie queen and went to Winnipeg to attend St. Mary's Academy. Brenda went into nursing but got on with Air Canada as a flight attendant and retired from there after a 28-year career. She married Woody Pike, and they lived in Menaki, Ontario for 6 months and in Phoenix, Arizona for the winter months. Brenda enjoys golfing, tennis, and pickleball. Beverly Anderson has been married to Bob for 24 years and lived in Winnipeg for 22 years, with stops in Edmonton, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Victoria, and back to Winnipeg. She says, don't ask why. They are very involved with and proud of daughters Kaylee in Winnipeg and Karma in Oakville, Ontario, and their 4 grandchildren. They belong to the Refit Center where they play pickleball. Bev does yoga and takes part in their exercise programs. She plays bridge and teaches yoga. She also spends a lot of time going to hockey arenas around Winnipeg and Toronto. Bev and Bob usually spend a couple of weeks each winter in warmer climates, and they enjoy their cabin at Clear Lake since 1985. Health is good, but as her doctor says, getting older isn't for cowards. Bev agrees. State of mind. Happy, grateful, and lives her life in the moment. Linda Anderson married Bill Nicholson in 1965. They had 2 children and have 4 grandchildren. Linda worked in the corporate travel business in Winnipeg and in Vancouver. She is presently retired in Ladner, BC, and still travels often to Manitoba to visit friends and family. Gloria Jean Cook and her family moved to Churchill, Manitoba after completing grade 9 at NACI. She completed her high school there and moved to Brandon to become a teacher. She met her husband Jack while still in Churchill, and they just celebrated 50 years of marriage. Jack and Gloria Jean both taught school, mostly in Brandon, where they also raised their 2 children, Kara and Curtis. Kara lives in Casablanca, Morocco, with her family, and Curtis just moved back to Brandon from Tokyo, Japan. And now this continues on to page 7, so I'll bring that up. Sorry. There we go. So they have 3 beautiful grandchildren. Gloria took early retirement in 2002 and has done some teaching and volunteering. Right now, she keeps busy helping her son and family adjust back to Manitoba living. These grandparents are happy. Life is good. Janet Kowalski left Neepawa about 1966 and moved to Windsor, Ontario. She married Fred Beaugrand in 1968, and they had 2 boys and have 1 grandson and 1 granddaughter, who both also live in Windsor. The Beaugrands have retired to Stony Point, Ontario, a small village on Lake St. Clair. Norma Radford moved to Brandon and completed high school there as captain of their cheerleading squad. She went to work for MTS and married Bill Edwards in 1966 and had 2 children and 4 grandchildren. After being a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, she went back to work at MTS for 3 years, then onto the dental field as a receptionist for 20 years and retired in 2003. Bill and Norma travel lots and especially into Winnipeg to watch their grandchildren in their various sports activities. Norma likes to keep in touch with her Neepawa friends as well. Sharon Johnson attended Assiniboine College in Brandon and enrolled in a business course. Her first office job was with Poole Packers in 1965. Following her marriage to Terry Buchanan in 1969, she joined the staff at the Royal Bank in Minnedosa for the next 7 years. Following the birth of her children, Tara, Lee, and Bryce, she remained a stay-at-home mom for a few years and returned to the workforce as a receptionist at the Minnedosa Medical Clinic for the next 13 years. After retiring for a few years, she was asked to join the staff at Internet Pharmacy based out of Minnedosa. She retired from that position in 2004. They have 3 wonderful grandchildren, 2 boys and a girl. After retiring, Terry and Sharon spent the next 7 winters in Texas. And Bev Johnson attended Portage Business College after high school in Portage la Prairie in 1964. Following graduation, she obtained employment as a secretary using good old shorthand to the bank manager at CIBC Portage until October of 1969. In 1965, she married her high school sweetheart, Ken Donaldson, and they resided in Portage for the next 5 years. Their firstborn, Scott, was born there in 1969. The following summer, they transferred to Hamiota, with Ken being appointed Assistant District Operator with Manitoba Hydro. Heather was born in Hamiota in 1973. They transferred to Selkirk in 1970 and have been there ever since. Bev was employed as elementary school secretary for the next 28 years. Bev says, "We are blessed to be grandparents to 4 adorable grandchildren, 2 boys and 2 girls." After her retirement, Ken and Bev have also enjoyed wintering in Weslaco, Texas. So I am going to go back to page 5 because there is a follow-up here. Here's some additional information about the Warnock brothers. Richard Warnock was featured in the 1960-61 BBs, January 11, 2017, Neepawa Press. All 3 of the Warnock brothers went out to Sparwood and Elkford, BC, and worked in the Kaiser coal mines. Mervyn, Murray, and Richard all got married and have 9 children between the 3 of them. According to a reliable source, a cousin, both Murray and Richard have passed away, leaving Mervyn as the only brother still living. So also on page 5, there's a notice for the annual general meeting of the Neepawa and District Chamber of Commerce, and you are invited. And this is going to take place Monday, January 30th, $50 per person at the Neepawa Curling Club, upper level. Cocktails at 6 p.m., dinner at 7 p.m. It will be a cash bar. Advanced RSVP, and you can do that through email, info@neepawachamber.com, or call 204-476-5292 by Friday, January the 20th. And I'm sure there will be entertainment there, but also election of directors and 2016 financial statement. Okay, I think I've covered those pages. Now I am on back to page 2. And this is the Looking Back section, researched by Cecil Pittman. 80 years ago, Friday, January 22nd, 1937. Congratulations are due today to Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Pascal on the attainment of their 25th wedding anniversary. They were married January 22nd, 1911 at the All Saints Church, Thelwall, Cheshire, England. And I'm going to clip that out because those were my grandparents. And 70 years ago, Thursday, January 16th, 1947, the blizzard of the past 2 days has put an entire stop to all travel by bus, and so far the snowplows have not been out in this vicinity. The weather reporting apparatus at the local weather bureau is also out of commission, which accounts for why we have no weather report this week. And 60 years ago, Thursday, January 17th, 1957, Grand Aggregate Honors in Neepawa's 18th Annual Men's Bonspiel, which concluded Saturday, went to Keith King's local rink. The popular local foursome, headed by a first-year skip, surprised the curling experts by chalking up an impressive record of 10 wins and 1 loss in the week-long classic. Also on the team were lead R.A. Bob Ferris, Wayne Sparling, Keith King, and Jerry White. And 50 years ago, Tuesday, January 17th, 1967, danger, open water. Ice on Lake Irwin has been broken up to allow oxygen into the water in attempt to save the rainbow trout population, and an area of open water at the west side of the lake is a definite danger to anyone traveling on the lake. Drivers in the area are warned to keep clear of this vicinity, as the ice may be undercut even if this is not apparent on the surface. And 40 years ago, Thursday, January 20th, 1977, the Viscount Cultural Centre did not only open for business, it now has its own administrator as well. Mrs. Marlene Sayateki has taken on the position of administrator, and she's enthusiastic about getting things rolling. Her plans for the center are both novel and interesting. One of the items on her agenda that will be getting underway almost immediately is Info Neepawa. It's an interesting and completely free service that will keep track of community events. And 30 years ago, Thursday, January 22nd, 1987, word was received last week that the Neepawa Lions Club had been granted a telephone center so that the Neepawa and district contributors to the 13th Annual Lions Telethon can phone in pledges locally without having to compete for long-distance lines. The telethon will be held on Sunday, February 1st from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. and will be broadcast live from Pantages Playhouse Theatre in Winnipeg. Proceeds from Lions Telethon go to the Lions Foundation of Manitoba and Northwestern Ontario Incorporated and are used to meet some of the many requests for funding assistance that come from all parts of Manitoba and Northwestern Ontario. And 20 years ago, Monday, January 20th, 1997, loan program has made its first loan. Don't expect any details to be made public. Even though the loans program is supported by public funds, committee members have no plans to reveal the identity of loan recipients or the amount received. I guess you have to put yourself in the loan recipient's shoes, said Neepawa Area Development Corporation President Betty Kozak. Most people wouldn't want their finances made public, and since we're acting like a bank, we're treating recipients with confidentiality. And finally, 10 years ago, Monday, January 15th, 2007, a proposed American move to lower barriers to Canadian cattle imports will help the industry. A Neepawa area cattle producer doubts it will ever return to what it was pre-BSE. We're never going to get back to where we were, Doug McLaren said. Things will get better, but it will never be the same. McLaren, who raises over 500 head of cattle, also said he never expected the initial discovery of bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, in an Alberta cow back in May 2003 would bring the industry to its knees. I never thought it would last this long, he said. Following the discovery of BSE in an Alberta cow, Canadian beef exports were banned in the USA, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Mexico. Although border restrictions have since loosened, only younger cattle are allowed to leave Canada. Okay, still on page 2, there is a notice here from the Neepawa Legion. The Neepawa Legion number 23 meat draw supper is going to take place this coming Friday, January the 20th. Meat draw ticket sales start at 5 p.m. Draws are at 6:30 p.m. and the menu is roast beef, scalloped potatoes, baked beans, salad, and dessert. And for tickets, call 204-476-5738. And just a reminder that Chase the Ace is also taking place on Friday evening around the same time frame. Okay, I'm now on page 3, and this is the opinion page. And the first opinion comes from Robert Sopak, MP, Dauphin Swan River, Neepawa. View from Parliament Hill, being Canadian. As we begin a new year, I want to take a moment to highlight just how lucky we are to be Canadian. Living in a country that is as stable as Canada is a real privilege. We can recognize this almost every time we turn on the evening news and see the terror attacks and all other tragedies taking place all over the globe. As we begin the celebration of Canada's 150th birthday, we should not forget how unique our country is with its many geographical, linguistic, and cultural differences. We share the blessing of being able to call Canada home and must never take that for granted. The events happening internationally each day continue to prove that the world we live in is volatile, and we know Canada is not immune from these threats. Whether it is terrorist attacks in Europe or the disgusting jihadi terrorist group ISIS taking over part of the Middle East and North Africa, it can be saddening and somewhat terrifying to think about the status of our world. Thankfully, we have men and women serving in our Canadian Armed Forces, intelligence agencies, RCMP, and local police services working hard every day to protect us from any threats here at home. It is easy to get swept up in the news stories about tragedies around the world or the more local political tug-of-war over how Canada should be managed. But it is important to recognize in the grand scheme of things that Canada is doing fairly well. We can and always must seek to do better. Despite popular belief, politicians like myself are not rooting for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to fail at running the country. Quite the opposite, in fact. We want to see the government succeed because we want what is best for our country and all Canadians. I wish the Prime Minister and his new cabinet the best this year and hope together we can continue to ensure Canada remains the greatest country in the world to live and raise a family. However, as Her Majesty's loyal opposition, it is our job to critique, oppose, and debate the Liberal government's policies and decisions. This is a necessary step to passing bills and making decisions that are right for Canada and her taxpayers. This is our democracy at work. I would ask that everyone remember this as our politicians head back to Parliament Hill for another year. Although we will spar inside the House of Commons and in the news, we are doing it because we all truly want to grow our economy and keep Canada safe and prosperous. We will just continue to disagree on how best to do that. During our celebrations to commemorate the 150th anniversary of the Confederation of this great nation, I encourage you to take some time to remember how lucky and blessed we are to call Canada home. Take a moment to soak it in and celebrate Canada's 150th birthday and the many more milestones yet to come. Now there is a letter to the editor, and this comes from Jean Borchardt here in Neepawa. Once again, the February Heart and Stroke Campaign will take place in Neepawa. Has granted us permission to have people sitting at a table gathering donations. I have a temporary list of volunteers right now, but still need a few more. The meeting has been set up at Chicken Delight for Friday, January 20th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. to arrange a schedule of days and times for people to sit at the co-op and gather donations. This year's slogan is LIFE, L-I-F-E. We don't want you to miss it. If you have a computer, go on to www.heartandstroke.ca and see their main menu. Donations help fund breakthroughs that save lives. Please give. There are many examples of how donating to Heart and Stroke has directly impacted lives of Canadians. Join us to help raise funds and share saving information with neighbors, friends, family, and colleagues. You can also donate online or watch the newspapers for dates and times of people sitting at the co-op or Harris Pharmacy. Now, there are a couple of thumbs up here, and the first one comes from the Roxy board. The Roxy Theatre wishes to give a thumbs up to our dedicated janitor, John Heffel, who always goes above and beyond his required duties. Not only is the inside of our theater spick and span, but he also ensures that the sidewalk is shoveled in the winter and swept in the summer, and he tends to the grass on the east side of the building. A well-kept building gives a positive impression to all who visit our venue. Thank you, John. And the next thumbs up comes from Daryl Gerard here in Neepawa. I would like to pass on a thumbs up to the Neepawa Roxy for changing their movie start times to 7:30. The new start time has made it easier for young families to take children to the movies. So if you have a thumbs up or a thumbs down, you can submit it to the Neepawa Press, Neepawa Banner, either by fax or email, and the information is at the bottom of Okay, I am now on page 4, and there's a beautiful picture here. And this is the My Neepawa section. Catching some air. A pair of snowmobilers take advantage of the massive snowfall by hitting the fields near Highway 357. So again, if you have a picture about Neepawa, what's your Neepawa? We're asking readers to share with us their pictures of past and present Neepawa. And again, you can submit this to the Neepawa Banner Press on Hamilton Street, and again, the information is included beside this photo. But what a glorious picture that is. Okay, I am now on page 6, and this is the sports section. Neepawa farmers just keep winning. This is by Owen Devereaux. It's been nearly 2 months since the Neepawa farmers last felt the sting of defeat in a Tigers Hill Hockey League THHL game. The team has steamrolled their opposition since mid-November on their way to 9 straight wins and an 11-4-0 record. Those results have capitulated the team into first place in the THHL Eastern Division. The Farmers' latest triumph was a 4-1 win at home over the Souris Elks on Saturday, January 14th. Kyle McDonald, Nolan Speece, Lance Nugent, and Garrett Rempel all scored for Neepawa in the win. The game against Souris came on the heels of an important victory over a divisional rival, the Gladstone Lakers, on Wednesday, January 11th. A 6-goal effort in the final 20 minutes of regulation pushed the Farmers to an impressive 10-2 decision over the Lakers. Though the final score was lopsided, the early portion of the game was a tightly played struggle with neither team giving an inch. And this continues on page 7, and hopefully I can find my page 7. Here we go. After establishing a 2-1 lead after the first with goals from Lance Nugent and Kyle McDonald, the Farmers were able to create some separation in the second with a pair of goals. Ryan Mene secured a goal just 36 seconds into the middle frame. Then near the midpoint of the game, Nugent put away his second of the night, making it 4-1 Neepawa. In the third period, the figurative floodgates broke open for the Farmers as they scored 6 times. Matt Lowry, Riley Colasar, and Nolan Spies started things off quickly, all scoring within 2:40 of the start of the period. After a Gladstone goal, Neepawa once again replied with 3 in quick succession. Manai potted a pair, giving him a hat trick on the score sheet, followed up by a late one from Brett Lewandowski to give Neepawa the 10-2 win. With just 3 games remaining in the regular season, Neepawa has a 2-point lead over the Minnedosa Bombers. While the Bombers do have a game in hand, the Farmers have won the season series, ensuring control of the tiebreaker in the standings. The final home game of the regular season for the Farmers will be on Saturday, January 21st against the Pilot Mound Pilots. They'll follow that up with a pair of road games, first against McGregor on Friday, January 27th. The following night, they'll head down to Killarney to play the Shamrocks. Okay, I think I'm done with page 7 there. Okay, I'm back to page 6. NACI beats Major Pratt by Owen Devereaux. The NACI Tigers hockey team has opened up 2017 with an important win over the Major Pratt Trojans. The 6-3 victory on Sunday, January 8th, improved the Tigers' Westman High School Hockey League WHSHL record to 7-3-4. The first period would see neither team gain an advantage, going scoreless after the first 20 minutes of play. In the second, the offensive output opened up for both sides with 4 goals scored. That made it 2-2 heading into the third. For the final 20 minutes of regulation, the Tigers were able to take charge, putting away 4 goals and ensuring the 6-3 win. Wiley Spies collected a pair of goals for NACI, while Jesse Jones, 1 goal, 1 assist. Other goal scorers for the Tigers included Will Ranka, Will Burney, and Bryce Kusagak. After a week's hiatus in the schedule, NACI will be quite busy this week with 3 games against the top teams in the league. First on Wednesday, January 18th, they'll host the Boissevain Broncos, who are currently 3rd in the standings. That'll be followed up with a road game in Killarney versus the 2nd-ranked Raiders on Friday, January 20th. NACI closes out the week on Sunday, January 22nd at the Yellowhead Center with a matchup against the current top teams in the standings, the Vincent Massey Vikings. Both of NACI's home games are scheduled for 7:15 p.m. start times. And Neepawa Natives Week in Review, Friday, January 13th at the Yellowhead Center, the Neepawa Natives 3 and the Dauphin Kings 0. And Sunday, January 15th at the Selkirk Rex Complex, Neepawa Natives 3 and Selkirk Steelers 4. That was a close one. And there will be expanded coverage of these games in the upcoming Neepawa banner. Okay, I think I've done all the reading I have for today. Kathy Jasnick will be back in a couple of days reading the banner. And so until then, I hope all of our viewers have a wonderful day. Bye for now.